Hi, my name is Jeff Strain. I'm the executive producer for State of Decay and Moonrise at Undead Labs.
So talk a little about State of Decay from the perspective of going from a console hit game over to the mobile space.
Well, it's been a big transition for the studio. It's very different the way you approach these games. On the console space and kind of high-end PC space, you've got obviously a lot more headroom in terms of the technical features of the hardware that you're working with, but also just your expectations for how people play the game are very, very different. We've been making console and PC games for almost 20 years in some of our cases, and so we have a certain expectation for somebody sitting down at their desk or on their couch in their living room and carving out 3 hours to play a game. When you move into the mobile space, you have to understand that a lot of people are on the bus on their way to work or taking a quick lunch break. You have to craft experiences that are rewarding and fun in little short segments of time. And so that's definitely been a transition for us to have to think that way. But it's also been a fun challenge, because to give somebody that challenge, like, hey, I've got 30 seconds, give me something fun. It's a fun challenge for game designers.
What has the advances that we've seen on tablets and smartphones from a processing power standpoint opened up for you guys in that transition?
Right. Well, I think it's not just processing power that opens up game design, but also just the quality of the screens and the richness of the color. One of the things that you'll notice when you play Moonrise is just how colorful and beautiful and rich the color palettes are. And that's something that we wouldn't have been able to do 3 or 4 years ago, even if the hardware had been the same in terms of CPU and memory and everything else. It's the quality of the screens, I think, that are really helping to bring games to life on those devices. But yeah, we have high-end processors now, dedicated graphics co-processors in these games, or in these on these devices, and for the first time, we can really look at taking the kind of deep immersive experiences that we've always made on PC and console and bring that to the mobile platform so that you have it in your pocket wherever you go.
Can you talk about that immersive experience with Moonrise?
Yeah, well, with Moonrise, our goal was to create an immersive RPG, and combat is always a big part of that in any RPG. What we didn't want to do was kind of a standard rock, paper, scissors, very surface level, simplistic combat model. And so what we started with actually was a Magic the Gathering style combat model. Something that's very deep, very sophisticated, easy to learn, but through combinatorial effects, through emergent strategies that are possible because of all the different combinations of skills and strategies, we wanted that level of sophistication to be there in the combat. And so I think first and foremost, that's what we tackled, was to make sure that we had deep, immersive, interesting, challenging strategic combat.
Can you talk a little bit about, specifically for this game, how you guys have applied the shorter gameplay sessions that people typically have with mobile?
Yeah, I think one of the things you'll notice right off is that, for example, the notion of travel is very different in this game. You're not wandering around in a kind of virtual 3D universe of which 90% is just filler. We want to get you quickly to the places that are interesting, and so you open an overmap, you tap where you want to go, and you go. You have to unlock it, you have to discover it, you have to gain access to it, like any classic RPG. But nobody has the time or patience when they're on the bus to sit there and travel for half an hour in order to get to the fun stuff. I think the other part of it is that even when you're in a city or a town, rather than having to wander through all the streets and alleys by tapping your way or clicking your way, instead you follow the camera. And so we give you an interface where you just pan the camera around the city to point to what's interesting to you, and then your character goes to where the camera's pointing.